Over the last 15 years, Manchester City have become one of the most successful and dominant teams in world football. They've won 6 of the last 7 Premier League titles, they finally bagged that elusive Champions League win, and as of last November, they even boast the Ballon d'Or winner in their squad. Ever since billionaire owner Sheikh Mansour took over in 2008, this club has never rested on its laurels, and their latest attempt to go bigger and better than all the rest is with the redevelopment of the North Stand right behind me. So with the help of journalists and die-hard City fans who know the club inside and out, this video does a deep dive into the project, what club bosses are trying to achieve, future plans, and most importantly of all, what supporters really think.
What they've done here has been amazing for this part of Manchester.
I miss Main Road.
The Etihad means everything to me. It's all I've ever known because I'm 21 and I've been coming here since I was a kid.
So what's gone before? Man City have become a global super club since Sheikh Mansour arrived, and Blues Chiefs want a stadium which reflects that newfound status. But for most of their 145-year history, City's distance from the very top of the tree has varied wildly. Founded in 1880 as St Mark's, West Gorton, their first permanent home was Hyde Road between 1887 and 1923. But for the first 9 years, the facilities were so rudimentary, the players had to get change in the local pub. In 1922, 2 years after a fire damaged Hyde Road's main stand, building work started at Main Road on a 10,000-seat covered stand on one side of the pitch with open-air terraces lining the other 3. 1 year later, after 36 years at Hyde Road, City moved to their new South Manchester home and stayed there for 8 decades. During that time, Main Road saw 9 relegations, 9 promotions and 6 league titles, including 2 top-flight ones in 1937 and 1968. And for 8 years from 1941, City even shared their home with bitter rivals Man United, and that was after Old Trafford suffered bomb damage during World War II. But eventually, after 80 glorious years, in 2003, City bid an emotional farewell to their 35,000-seat home, having struck a new deal to move into the City of Manchester Stadium, which we now know as the Etihad.
Main Road was actually a dump. There was so much wrong with Main Road when they left it. They needed to move the stadium. But it was home, and it was what you remember as a kid, and you remember all the sights and the smells and everything else.
Main Road was swiftly demolished to make way for a 400-home housing estate, and a new era was born. Initially built for £112 million, City Stadium began its life as the 38,000-seat single-tiered home of athletics during the 2002 Commonwealth Games. But planners always had long-term legacy in mind, and work began to convert it to a football stadium almost as soon as the games came to an end. City paid around £30 million for the year-long project, which turned the arena into a 2-tiered 48,000-seater by removing the running track and lowering the ground inside the bowl to make room for an additional lower tier. But that's not the only thing that's changed. Firstly, City didn't sell the naming rights until 2011, meaning it was still called the City of Manchester Stadium for the first 3 years. But most importantly of all, Sheikh Mansour didn't buy the club until 2008, meaning they finished in the bottom half in 3 of their first 5 seasons in the ground.
When City moved here, it was great. Everything was great.
There was literally nothing around here. It was a very sort of run-down area.
Like it's taken a while, but this place is home now.
It's like almost like a spiritual home for me now, going to the Etihad.
It feels like Main Road used to feel, and like that took some getting used to and some time.
So what's changed since? Believe it or not, the Etihad is still owned by Manchester City Council and is leased to the club for just £3 million a season in a 250-year agreement, which means City are responsible for all operating and maintenance costs. In 2011, they renegotiated that deal and gained the stadium's naming rights, which now earns the club around £15 million a year from Etihad. That cash helped City to reinvest in the stadium after winning their first 2 Premier League titles in 2012 and 2014, and just a year later they unveiled the South Stand expansion, which added a 7,000-seat third tier to extend their overall capacity to 55,000. Since then, there's been heavy investment into the hospitality areas and concourses, plus statues of club legends Colin Bell, Francis Lee, David Silva, Sergio Aguero and Vincent Kompany erected outside. So why now? For Man City, it's not about catching up, it's about being the best. Everyone has looked on jealously at Tottenham's shiny new ground, Real Madrid's stunning Bernabeu upgrade and Barcelona's ambitious Nou Camp project, and even Fulham have upgraded their Riverside stand and they've put a swimming pool in it. But at its current capacity of 52,900, which has been temporarily reduced due to the North Stand project, the Etihad is only the 6th largest football stadium in the Premier League. And crucially, a smaller ground equals lower matchday revenue, which in the PSR and FFP age means cold hard cash that most owners do not want to miss out on. However, the new stand will bump City up to 4th with a capacity similar to title rivals Arsenal and Liverpool, and extra seats plus better facilities will attract more fans with money to spend.
You have to get the right balance between getting the revenue in from these fans and embracing kind of the hardcore support that have been there throughout.
And the way it's grown overseas, the way the club has grown, the fan base has grown, has been incredible. I think the club want to try and tap into that.
It can't be a situation where it's only open to match-by-match fans.
Think back to when City were in the 3rd tier, we still had 30,000+ going every week. And it's those fans that I think should be rewarded for their loyalty by getting a season ticket, by getting, a fair price for their ticket. And I think it is difficult when there's such, I guess, a gap between how much they'll spend and how much a tourist, if you want to call it that, would spend.
This is very much a sort of working class club, so the danger is that the regular fans, the fans who've been with them all this way, are going to get sort of priced out as they sort of look to get more hospitality people and look to attract those fans in from around the world.
So what are City up to now? In short, the 4-in-a-row champions are adding 7,000 seats to their North Stand and attaching a whopping great hotel to the outside of it. The impressive project will be finished midway through next season and will bump their capacity to around 62,000, but unlike their 3-tiered South Stand, the North End will remain a 2-tiered structure as it is now, but much, much taller. As well as getting more fans through the door, City are desperate to maintain the noise and atmosphere which they are trying to achieve in 2 ways. Firstly, the lower tier will remain the same, but the upper tier will be one enormous mass of fans resembling Borussia Dortmund's yellow wall and Tottenham's South Stand. Plus, 3,000 rail seats will be installed, making it the largest safe standing area in the Premier League.
City get criticised a lot for the atmosphere. I think it's good.
It can rub people up the wrong way when Guardiola turns to the stands and starts going, come on, we need you, and he gets nothing back.
What I think people don't understand is just how good it is on the sort of big nights.
When it's a big game, as long as the right fans are in the crowd supporting the team, you've got that core fan base behind you, I don't think you can beat it.
If you dilute it, it's obviously not there. It's not a weapon for the club to use.
City are also trying to appeal to the next generation, and SunSport understands a set number of North Stand tickets will be allocated to under-21s, as well as building breakout and interactive areas within the new fan zone. Religious rooms and alcohol-free zones will also feature to accommodate everyone within City's diverse fan base. Most elite clubs earn a fortune from hospitality packages, so City are expanding their offering by building an 800 capacity lounge featuring a 500 seat food hall and premium bar. A new club shop and museum will also be part of the complex to encourage matchgoers to cough up even more of their hard-earned cash.
You can't have a stadium full of people who are going to come in, spend the money in the club shop and kit themselves out in City gear, but then go home and go, well, I've been to a Manchester City game, that was fantastic, I enjoyed it.
And in case fans need a place to stay, City are also building a 400-bed luxury hotel attached to the new stand. All of that is part of City's plan to make the Etihad campus a one-stop shop for football and entertainment. And in conjunction with developers Oakview Group and superstar investor Harry Styles, City also built the 23,500 capacity Co-op Live Arena, which opened last May. That project alone is believed to have cost £365 million, but City still aren't slowing down.
Sheikh Mansour has obviously bankrolled quite a lot of what's City's success at the moment, but his idea is to make it sort of self-sustainable. What they've done here and over the road at the Etihad campus has been amazing for this part of Manchester.
So how much will the North Stand development cost? Since Sheikh Mansour bowled through the door, he has not stopped writing cheques, be it for superstar players or renovated stands. And the North Stand development is going to see him write his juiciest one yet, with the mammoth project costing an eye-watering 300 million quid. That honking great price tag is almost 3 times the amount it cost to build the Etihad, and a whopping 90 million quid more than the Sheikh paid for the actual club. By way of comparison, Liverpool paid £80 million for their Anfield Road stand extension, Fulham spent 120 million quid on their Riverside stand, and Arsenal are considering a 300 million Emirates expansion. So will all of this be worth it? Man City earned £76.5 million in matchday revenue last season, but that is miles behind their biggest Premier League rivals, with Arsenal bagging £128 million, Spurs pocketing £103 million, and Man United raking in £127 million. But just based on the 7,000 capacity increase alone, City can expect a £10 million hike in annual matchday revenue to £86.4 million. But that figure is expected to rise even more once cash from the fan park and hotel is thrown into the mix, with estimates suggesting £100 million is closer to the mark for the year.
I think the club are maybe maximising revenues a little bit too much for me. I think the pricing is going up year by year. They need to focus on supporting, working class fans and young lads especially that have that much money.
They are a relentless bunch of people.
My dad's generation of fans are a dying breed. That fan that goes week in, week out supporting the team is almost getting priced out of it. We are the 1%, but we're the 1% that support the team every week. We're the 1% that put everything on the line in our lives to go every week.
So what next? The immediate future is one of cranes, scaffolding and building work as contractors Sisk aim to deliver the project to deadline. The new North Stand is due to open at some point during the 25-26 season, but the hotel and fan zone aren't expected to be complete until late 2026. But beyond then, the sky is the limit.
All the background noise, all the PSR stuff, all the FFP stuff, the charges, everything else, I can give or take that. And at the end of the day, City will still play here. There'll still be 11 people on the pitch kicking a football around, and hopefully the stands will still be noisy.
More major changes are unlikely in the immediate future, but one thing is for sure, Manchester City FC will be striving to be at the forefront of world football for many years to come, even if they do get relegated over their 115 FFP charges.
I'd say keep the beers at about a £5, that's good.